It is a Sean Penn movie, not a Nick Cage movie. However, I am drafting it because it is his first, I believe it's his first credited role, but he is credited as Nicolas Coppola because he is a Coppola.
All right, I'm a little tired, I'm a little wired, and I think I deserve a little appreciation.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast. Man at you from the Slice on Oak Studios. I am Mayor Dave Badeaux of the city of Brainerd, and with me, as always, is my brother.
I got bit by a dog the other day. I need to say more stupid shit.
Hey, over there is Gabriel Johnson as well, the councilman himself. How are you, sir?
I am well, Dave. How about you?
I am excellent. So are you ready to get started with this?
I am pumped.
All right, that's what I thought. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do the draft day. Nicolas Cage movie. Oh, yeah.
Nick. Whoa, Cage!
Is that your Nick Cage?
It was more. It was more of a woo.
I would say it may be better than John Travolta's Nick Cage.
It's tough to do.
We're going to find out. All right. So this is draft day, of course. On the podcast, we have specific episodes where we pick a category and then create a list of items within that category, then go back and forth drafting items from the category. This, of course, obviously is the Nick Cage edition. Gabe Johnson requested this one.
I'm a big fan.
Well, and mostly because the year 1997 was a banger for one Nick Cage.
Face Off and Con Air.
So let's go ahead and give the man his due, and let's go through all the movies and talk about them. But you guys got anything to say about Nick Cage movies before we get started?
One thing I have to say is I hope you didn't change the list after I wrote it down.
We've had that problem in the past. We're not going to do it this time. So the list for this episode is going to be the following. We have 12 items. Each of us must draft 3 of the 12, and then we can each go off the board one time and select one that is not on the list as well. So the list will contain most of the items that we really like, but then we all kind of leave a couple off there so that there's a little bit of nuance to the game. So the 12 that we have are Raising Arizona, Leaving Las Vegas, Face Off, Con Air, The Rock, Gone in 60 Seconds, National Treasure, Adaptation, Ghost Rider, The Croods, KickAss, and last but definitely not least, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Well done, Dave.
Well done. The list is exactly the same. So we drew straws before we got started. Scott, you drew first. So Scott, you will have first selection of your pick in the official iKnowBadeaux Nick Cage movie draft.
Man, I don't know if I wanted to go first.
Well, you should have.
There's too many
Selected
excellent
words.
choices.
Should have selected a different color straw.
I think I am going to go ahead and say fuck both of you.
Oh.
I'm taking Adaptation.
Oh, my fucking God. Right on.
I'm putting in a chase sequence. So the killer flees on horseback with the girl, the cops after them on a motorcycle. And it's like a battle between motors and horses, like technology versus horse.
So Gabe and I were
Arguing over who was going to take it.
we're arguing over who was going to
So I better.
and how fast it was going to go off the board, because I don't know if it's the number one pick, but it is the right, in this group, it was the right selection.
I had it as a third round choice. I showed up and noticed you were excited about it. I bumped it up to the second round.
I also had it as my third selection. It is now
Number one,
the
baby.
number one selection. All right, so Scott, you are given the opportunity to talk about the
Tell
movie
me about
Adaptation.
It's kind of weird. Something about orchids. I never know who's the real Nick Cage and who's written in a story or something.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good when I saw it 20 years ago.
it first overall, number one, baby. Woo!
I got it.
Woo, Cage. Should we talk about it? Should we actually talk about this movie?
Yeah, bring it on.
So, Adaptation is written by Charlie Kaufman, who I love. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is one of my top 3 all-time favorite movies. I love that movie. Also written by Charlie Kaufman. Charlie Kaufman wrote Being John Malkovich as well, which was directed by Spike Jonze. This is the second time that Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze met up to make a movie. But this movie is the story of Charlie Kaufman being asked to adapt a book, The Orchid Thief, into a movie. And then him getting writer's block, basically driving himself nuts, and then deciding, fuck it, I'm just going to write what's happening right now. And so he writes the script of what's happening to him in the process of being asked to write this movie. And then he just turned it in thinking, I don't know what to do with this. I can't figure out how to make this into a movie. And then thinking it was going to ruin his career. And then Spike Jonze going, this is amazing. We need to make
Brilliant.
this. So it is a movie about him struggling to write a movie about a book.
That Meryl Streep was writing in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff.
I just watched it last night. I was really worried that it wasn't going to hold up. I was like, okay, early 2000s, there's a chance that it might not hold up. It is batshit crazy.
It's meta.
But it's really fucking good.
It's good.
It's really fucking good. And I think mostly it's good because the book that it's based off of is an interesting story. And I should say this. As he finds out, it's not necessarily a great story, but it's a great character. And then he's trying to do the book justice by not turning it into a Hollywood film, and then realizes there's no way not to do it. So by the end, people are getting eaten by alligators, and there's gunfights, and everything he says he doesn't want to do, he just does it. And then the movie becomes it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. Gabe, thoughts?
Absolutely love the movie. Meta is all heck, or it's just a story in a story in a story about a story.
Yep.
And Nick Cage kills it.
He does. Also, he writes that he has a twin brother, Donald Kaufman, and then they just treat it as though that's a real thing.
And he plays both parts.
Nick Cage is listed in the credits alphabetically as both Charlie Kaufman and Donald Kaufman. Actually, I think it's by appearance, so it's not back to back. It's by appearance, so he is listed as being both people. Donald Kaufman was also nominated for an Oscar for this as well. And I believe they won. Charlie and Donald, I believe, won the Oscar for
Donald won the Oscar.
I believe
for
Donald
supporting?
Donald won the Oscar for supporting actor. So, excuse me. So not supporting. It was adapted screenplay. So yeah. So
As they should have. Great movie.
Number 1 overall.
Best Nicolas Cage movie there is.
I was so excited because I actually was like, I have to watch this. I have to make sure this is actually good. And then I'm like, it's good. It's not number 1 good. Don't get me wrong.
Disagree.
It's great. Did you find it streaming or did you have to buy it?
I did buy it. Because I knew it was like $12 or $13 on Amazon, to have the streaming or downloadable version. It was like $5 or $4 to rent it or $13 to buy it. And I was like, if it is as good as I remember, and I have it on DVD somewhere, but I couldn't find it. If it's as good as I remember, I will probably watch it twice. And at that point, you might as well just have it. I will watch it again because it definitely gets into a point where almost like, do you remember the first time you watched?
You have to watch it twice to understand what the hell's going on.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, where like there's just a point where you have no idea what's going on anymore. And it clearly happens in this movie where you're just like, okay, now we're to the point where you just accepted that you're off the rails, and it is bizarre as all hell. But
Right.
it is not a perfect movie. I will say it's not a perfect
Who
movie.
is who and who's doing what?
Yeah.
And is this part of the story or is this
Right.
right in the
Where
story?
are we? Who is this? What's happening?
Yep. Yeah. And they got the writer of the book to sign off on it. At first she said, absolutely not. No way. And then they slowly convinced her to let them do it, and now she loves it. So,
It worked, yeah.
Yeah, it turned out really well. So first overall pick,
Hell yeah.
off the board, fucking Adaptation, you cocksucker.
To be real, it wasn't going to make it back to me.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was not.
Gabe, you are up now.
Well, the second best movie, maybe the best movie Nick Cage was ever in, is The Unbearable Weight of
Of
Massive
course.
Talent.
Wow. So we just lost all of our viewers. Every person that came on for Nick Cage movies just left.
But honestly, just finished this a half hour ago.
Yep.
For the third time or
Okay,
whatever.
yeah.
It was just released last year.
Yep.
Into theaters, not even direct to movie like most Nick Cage movies are nowadays.
Yep.
But it's the same idea of writing the movie that you're in as it's happening. And they kind of perfected what they tried to do in Adaptation.
I would say so too. Yep.
And it was just great. Buddy comedy, action flick. Right? Where Nick Cage revisits a good number of roles he has played in the past and has to reenact those characters to stay alive.
Yeah, and so to fill everybody in that hasn't seen it, because I think most people have not seen
You
this
should.
movie.
You should definitely watch
You
this
should
movie.
all
Streaming
three,
on Stars right now.
Yeah, all three of us agreed. It's not a great movie, but it is a solid,
No,
good.
it's
movie.
good fun.
Yeah,
It's a good fun movie.
Very fun.
I laughed
movie.
out loud a handful of times.
And he plays
I
himself.
walked in the studio today and said, Dave, this might be my favorite movie of all time, of all movies.
Did say that.
I mean, if
did
you
say
like
that.
Nick Cage and
Yeah.
how ridiculous he is,
Nick Cage.
It's so much fun. So I just sat down and watched this with Callie, and we got started, and she clearly was not enjoying it as much as I was, because I was laughing. I was like, this is so great, because he understands himself. And it's the best part of the movie is when he talks about, like, people don't want me to do as many movies, but I'm an actor. That's my job. And the way he says that is just like, because everybody just thinks he's just out there doing this cash grabs. And part of it is that the man owns like fossils and shit,
Yep.
that are ridiculous to have.
Yep.
But at the same time, he clearly lays out for you. I want to work.
I show up, my job as an actor, I show up to work each day to be an actor and act.
Yeah.
It's what I do.
Yeah. And if the man enjoys it, and that really set the tone for me for the movie, where I was just like, okay, I knew he was going to be self-referential, but I didn't think he was going to lay it on the line and just be like, listen, I don't care if I do 1 million movies.
I've been in 30 shitty movies in a row, but that's my job.
He actually says, plumbers plumb, I act. So yeah, a great movie. She, by the about middle of this movie, she was like, okay, I'm completely on board now as well. She just wasn't catching on to the nuances of all of the small Easter eggs of his career as well.
Yeah, my wife stayed up and watched this movie
Yeah.
with me. My wife can't stay up past 9:30 to save her fucking life.
Yeah.
But I put this movie on after 10.
Yeah.
And she stayed up past midnight.
Yeah.
My wife and I went to the movie theater. We saw this in the theaters when it came out last year because I'm a huge fan.
Yep.
She's not a huge fan,
Okay.
like some of his work,
Okay.
but she absolutely loves this movie.
Okay.
Great movie. I recommend. Watch Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Watch Unbearable. Yeah, Weight of Massive
First round
Talent.
pick. A justified first round pick.
Yeah, Nick Cage smooch is good. You tell him! Nick Cage smooch is good!
I will say that both of these films were films that I was going to pick if I had the opportunity. It probably isn't the best way to start a podcast about Nick Cage movies. Like, these are more conversations you have after a half hour of talking about Nick Cage movies. However, honestly, Unbearable Weight is so much fun. Adaptation is just a bizarre, really, really well done treat, and was up for multiple Oscars, won Oscars, I believe. Supporting actor as well, for I forget what his name is, but the guy
Donald
without
Kaufman.
Donald Kaufman. No, the guy without the teeth.
Yeah,
It's just a really good story too. So both of those excellent picks. However, I'm going to get us back on track. I got 2 picks in a row, and we're going to start right
No,
there.
you don't.
Yes, I do. It's the end of
a
the
snake
It's a
draft.
snake draft.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm used to it going this way.
Once again, I'm going to get us back on track, and I'm going to draft 2 movies right in a row.
No, you're
I'm going to
not.
start right off with The Rock.
Of course.
Welcome to The Rock.
So The Rock is off the board. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time talking about The Rock because we talked about it just a few episodes ago. But it is, of the Nick Cage action movies, of Jerry Bruckheimer movies, it is one of my favorites. And they're a great combination. Jerry Bruckheimer and Nicolas Cage are a fantastic combination. And I will say that this is just slightly better than my next pick, Con Air.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. I have the only gun on board. Welcome to Con Air.
So Con Air is also off the board. I love to talk about The Rock, and I will continue to talk about it. However, Con Air is one that I did just go back and rewatch again. Purchased it as well. So if you guys want to come over and watch Con Air, I got it.
I might.
I want to watch it. I didn't want to spend $4
That's
on it.
exactly what I felt about it too.
I'm like $30 in on Nick Cage movies.
That was my issue with this episode in general. Was that there's like four. There's like 4 Nick Cage movies that are on a streaming service that you don't have to pay for.
Which is really, really weird,
Yeah.
right? Because usually you can pick and choose between a couple. Face Off was on one just a month or two ago, and it got taken off. So I don't know. I don't remember which service.
I
it
think
was.
that got taken off the second I clicked on it. I think it was free. It was free to watch, and I was like, "Cool, I'll watch that one." And I clicked on it, and then it told me it cost money.
Yeah, get screwed. Con Air, for those of you that have not seen it, is a fantastic Jerry Bruckheimer film that is our good buddy Nicolas Cage has went to prison. He is not wrongfully accused, but did the crime, did the time, and now is on his getting his ride home on an airplane.
Put the rabbit in the box.
To go see his wife and child who he has never seen because he's been in prison for so long. And along the way, there is a group of, let's call them cons.
That's what they go.
That take over the airplane. One of the things I really love about this movie is right at the beginning, he gets sentenced. And I don't know if you know anything about when you get sentenced, but you have a trial, the jury decides whether or not you're guilty or not guilty, and then the judge sentences you. And the judge is the one that decides what the sentence is. In this movie, he is sentenced to no less than 5 to 10 years.
No less. So 5 years?
Yeah.
I think it's 7. Sorry, it's 7 to 10 years. So those are the sentencing guidelines.
Yeah, in real life, you pick 7, 8, 9, or 10.
The judge's job is to pick one of those years. No less than the minimum of 7 to 10 years. So right away I was like, okay, this movie is fantastic. But just a really fun movie. Action-packed, of course. But I had a few things that I pulled off from there that I really enjoyed. One, Bubba from the movie Forrest Gump is his cellmate. And I would argue that Bubba is the driving factor of the film. So he's the reason why Nick Cage keeps being involved in this, because he wants to protect his cellmate, which was kind of fun. Dave Chappelle is in it. Dave Chappelle has a really fun role in that as well. Cooler Ranch Doritos kept popping up, and I had a lot of fun with that because I love the fact that in the 90s, Cool Ranch was not enough.
It had to be cooler.
It had to be cooler. Yeah. Had to be Cooler Ranch.
Yeah, Cooler Ranch, nacho cheesier, spicier
But
nacho.
The thing of that, though, is that nacho cheesier was more cheese. Cooler, I believe, was supposed to give you less
Garlic
powder.
breath.
Garlic and onion breath. So I thought that was fun. Here he is trapped in a cell with a guy, and he's going with, please, the Cooler Ranch for Bubba.
Reeks.
For Bubba. And then also
Put the bunny back in the box.
is a great line. He also has the hooray for the sound of fucking silence, which is also just a great fucking line. Just a great line. But the best line in the whole movie, the bad guy is John Malkovich.
Yes.
And his name is Cyrus.
And he's a fucking creep.
And he's a creep. But Cyrus, at the end, is going to kill this guy by flicking a cigarette into gasoline. And the guy yells, "Sigh!" and doesn't quite complete Cyrus, just says, "Sigh!" And Cyrus says, "Anara." And
Hell yeah! Nice.
So, number one pick on my end because sayonara.
Anara.
That was your
Technically
number two
second
pick.
round pick.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, technically my number two.
Which one had the anal beads?
That was the
That's
Rock.
the
was
Rock.
The Rock.
That's the Rock, which is a better movie than Con Air, but Con Air is just a lot of fun.
Is he ever not wearing a wife beater in that movie?
Yeah, because at the very beginning he's in his actual
orange
military.
jumpsuit.
Well, he's in his actual military uniform.
He didn't wear a wife beater to court.
They really should have. Really missed a golden opportunity there. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, but that's my selection. So I have both The Rock and Con Air. So for people that tuned into this episode, you're right. I'm winning. Next, back to Gabe.
Well, knowing what I know about you guys and the information I gleaned before we started recording, my last round pick has turned into my second round pick.
Oh, okay.
I'm going National Treasure.
Yeah, that was
okay.
that was a smart choice.
Resolution that 55 men signed.
He steals the Declaration of Independence.
It was the only way to protect it, Gabe.
But 2004, Nick Cage, great movie, where he has to vindicate his family's conspiracy theories of hundreds of years about a mystery of some national treasure that somehow all of the from Egypt ended up underneath a church in New York or something. And he was right.
The Declaration of Independence.
I pick it because my wife told me to pick it. This is her favorite Nick Cage movie.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. She enjoys it. We watch it once a year, probably.
It's a good movie.
It is a very good movie. It's Jerry Bruckheimer, right? It's got to be Jerry Bruckheimer. I don't know for
Don't know, didn't research it. I was told to draft it.
That doesn't seem like a Jerry Bruckheimer
yes,
type movie.
it does. Yes, it does.
It's got some good action sequences.
It's got to be. There's no way it's not.
There's
'Cause
guns.
It's also Disney, and that's when he was on his Disney kick. So, the thing I love about National Treasure is they do a really, really good job of connecting the dots from one treasure to the next, because it's just one clue reaching to another clue, reaching to another clue.
Right, but he's like a bit autistic. He's like, oh, there's an arrow pointing right. That means we must go to Boston.
I say that completely in jest because there is a scene in that movie where he's like, it means this, and that, and ooh, what is?
And it's great Nick Cage.
Yeah.
It is perfect for him.
Yeah.
And that means this. And the best one is the Resolute. What is it? That is Resolute.
That means we must go to London.
the resolution or the resolution desk or whatever it is.
That's the second one.
No. That's the first one. I'm pretty sure that is.
That's the first one. Because the second one goes to South Dakota for the...
No,
Yeah.
the second one is
Nope, you're confusing yourself.
The second one's the City of Gold.
yeah, with the ancient like Incan or Aztec piece of wood.
No.
That they take out of the Resolute desk in the second movie.
I don't think so because maybe I'm mixing up my national.
I mean, they're the
treasures.
same fucking movie, so
There
it
are a
doesn't
lot
matter.
of treasures.
They are the same movie. It is the part I'm thinking of is when they're on.
You know
the
what?
ship
That is the second
Is it?
movie where they go to the Resolute desk. That is the second movie because that's when he brings his estranged wife at that time along with him and they
Okay.
get into a big fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize to everyone involved.
The Declaration of Independence.
The only other person that could have done this role justice would have been our buddy from the good old Jurassic Park,
Goldblum? Yeah, that or like Keanu.
Keanu. Would have been,
I'd like to see Larry David do it.
That's brilliant. That's great.
That would be a lot of fun.
Oh, come on.
Have you ever seen the movie Sahara? It's the same damn thing, only with
Is it McConaughey?
Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, it is the same movie, but it's also okay. It's very similar. So, but yeah. All right. So National Treasure off the board, and it is absolutely Jerry Bruckheimer.
Nice.
Yeah. That is back to Scott.
Okay, and
got 2 in a row.
I get 2. So I am going to go ahead and take Gone in 60 Seconds.
All right.
Which apparently is what, the 60th best movie?
Tomato meter had in the 60s, like the 64th highest ranked movie of Nick Cage's career.
Oh, of Nick Cage. Okay.
Yeah,
I was
not
gonna say.
ever. not of all movies.
I was going to say, you got to shut that whole service down.
Of Nick Cage's
Okay,
movies.
okay.
In the 60s.
That's crazy.
That's way too low.
Yeah. For Nick Cage movies, yeah, it's definitely far too low. But let's talk. Give me 60 seconds on Gone in 60 Seconds.
I love that car.
Oh,
so does he.
The Shelby.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that thing is slick.
Yeah, worth selecting just for the car.
And that's why I'm selecting it, just for the car.
Good choice. I like that choice. Yeah. A fairly good movie as well. That was in a time frame when, because it was right around the same time as Italian Job.
Italian Job and Fast and the Furious.
Ocean's
A lot of
11.
cars.
Yeah,
Cars
Ocean's
and heists.
11. Yeah. Rick and Morty has ruined me on heists at this point after their heist episode. So every time I watch a heist, I just think about how ridiculous it always is. But yeah, Gone in 60 Seconds. Cool car.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's about it.
All right. You got another pick, though. Right back at it.
I do, and I don't see it on the board.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going off the board already.
Okay.
And I'm taking City of Angels.
God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it. I took it off the board on purpose. No.
Oh, what a
Scott is winning this draft. He's destroying you.
What? Okay, go for it.
Yeah, what a great story. An actual angel gets to live life as a human on Earth
Yeah.
and falls in love.
I'm really, really pissed off at you right now because I just watched it this morning. I turned it on this morning, and because it was one where I was like, okay, I remember really liking this movie. I was like, it's super sappy, but I really thought this was a great little story. And I went back and watched it, and it is very 90s.
Yeah.
Like there's some...
Yeah, it's Meg Ryan.
Yeah, it's a 90s Meg Ryan movie. But if you...
Where's Tom Hanks?
Yeah, but there's even like some kind of trench coaty typeness to it a little bit. And she's a doctor, of course. So we got your ER scenes in there because that, of course, is the 90 thing. But just a great fucking story.
Yeah.
Just a great story. I'm actually really mad right now. Really mad.
Good.
Is that streaming for free? I have not seen.
You can watch it with ads on YouTube.
Oh, I don't do ads.
Whatever.
It's
Honestly,
YouTube ads, though. You can skip them after 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I do YouTube ads.
Yeah. And I was surprised. The ads didn't bother me too much on this, which you would think it would, like a super sappy movie like that.
Yeah.
But right from the beginning, it starts off. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's a depressing movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Make no.
Yeah.
As a child of the 90s, I'm all about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not Leaving Las Vegas depressing. It's like more of
killing himself.
Yeah, it's more of a fun depressing. It's more of a Meg Ryan depressing. I really like how it's him trying to experience not emotions, but just life in general through other people. Like he's there. The idea that these angels are here and they have to watch as people are going about their lives, waiting for them to pass, and then their job is to make it peaceful while they move on. But yet they're viewing everyone, and he's really interested in, well, how does that make you feel? It's a very, it's very much, he's a therapist for himself. But yeah, great movie.
And the Goo Goo Dolls.
Oh, yeah.
Best ballad ever.
And I don't want the world to see me. I just want you to know
Right before Aerosmith.
We haven't talked about the Goo Goo Dolls on this podcast yet, and I would say that that's right up there. Like that album, and they re-released it again because they have to remaster it so they can then get the money from it.
It's better. Yeah.
Did you know that the Goo Goo Dolls were not always the Goo Goo Dolls?
Were they just
Before they were the Goo Goo Dolls, they were more of a punk band.
really?
And their name was the Sex Maggots.
I wasn't ready for
Turned
maggots.
into the Goo Goo Dolls.
oh man, changes everything. Oh, yeah.
Quite the transformation.
Yeah, I never thought of a Goo Goo doll as being a Goo Goo doll. All right, well, all right.
yeah.
No, fuck that movie.
There's a thing.
Yeah. All right, well, Scott, screw you again. So over to Gabe.
I'm going to take my first round pick here in the third round.
Congratulations.
Raising Arizona,
Yeah, that's a good pick too.
1987.
Yes.
Coen Brothers.
Son, you got a panty on your head. Just drive fast.
Plays a criminal and kidnaps a baby.
Pretty much.
What's he do with this baby after kidnapping it?
He raises it.
Is its name Arizona?
Yes.
Clearly, I've never seen this movie.
But he's a criminal who goes to jail again and again and again at the beginning of the movie, falls in love with the cop, jailer woman, and they get married. They can't have a baby. He goes and steals one for them.
I love him so much.
I know you do, honey.
I love him so much.
I know you do.
And the rich guy hires bounty hunters to get the baby back. And it's John Goodman. And I just want to say, excellent role for him. And John Goodman as a supporting actor, especially in Coen Brothers movies, but in pretty much any movie. Not as a lead actor.
Yeah.
As a supporting actor, he is always a treat.
I would absolutely agree to that as well. He is always a treat. So, yeah, excellent choice. Coen Brothers, good movie. Very popular for a very long time. I think now it's kind of faded a little bit in people's memories, but that's a really fun movie by a really, really fun group of filmmakers. So, I like the pick. I like it.
Thank you.
All right, so
Now you get Face Off.
now I am not going to select Face Off. I've got some words to say on the movie Face Off. I won't say them right this second. I'm going to go right away, and I'm just going to be quick about my two selections here. I'm going to go on the board with the movie KickAss. I really liked this movie. It's not perfect, but it was because what is it, like 2013, somewhere in that 2010, I think. It's right before we went too crazy on superheroes.
Yeah.
And I'm not big into superheroes. I think that superhero movies are kind of dumb.
I think they should all be like KickAss.
Yeah.
And Deadpool.
That's where I was going to go, is that this is my style of like, this is what people would do, right? And it's a little violent and a lot of fun. And the reason I'm picking it is because I didn't know it was Nicolas Cage. I didn't know he was in it. And I didn't realize until well into the movie, I was like, oh shit, that's Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And it was a very fun moment of like, oh shit, Nicolas Cage? All right. Now, this is a totally different experience. You have changed. This is going to go places. So I'm definitely picking Kick-Ass for that reason. And then my last selection is not a Nicolas Cage movie, but it is a tip of the cap. I believe his first credited role, or I believe this is his first credited role, Fast Times at Richmond High, which Scott was arguing before we started that is, I was assuming you were going to say.
Before I first saw it, I remember hearing that it was this great comedy, a classic comedy like Animal House and some of those other movies like
they
that.
were trying to do.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I watched it, and I didn't think it was funny at all.
Oh, wow. Not at all.
Not really. I mean, the van, like at the very beginning, the van parked on the school lot with all the smoke coming out of it. I was like, okay, what are we in for? And then it just I don't know.
It's a different time.
Yeah, I don't know.
In 1980, Spicoli, the pothead kid, that was not depicted in movies, right?
Sure.
So it was groundbreaking.
Yeah, I would say that it's referential now. So you've seen everything this movie has 1,000 times since then.
But it's a Sean Penn movie, not a Nick Cage movie.
It is a Sean Penn movie, not a Nick Cage movie. However, I am drafting it because it is his first, I believe it's his first credited role, but he is credited as Nicholas Coppola because he is a Coppola.
Yep.
And
Francis Ford?
Francis Ford. So it's a little bit of nepotism in the Nick Cage world. However, that's not a well-known fact in this day and age.
Because he's the hardest working man in Hollywood.
Because he turned his name to Cage. I mean, come on. Nicholas. And if you look him up on IMDb, Nick Cage does not show up. It is Nicolas Cage. So I love it. So Fast Times at Richmond High. I like 80s subculture. I like the mall, and the mall is a character in this movie. I like that. It's just a fun time, and it's just nice for my list. The Rock, Con Air, KickAss, and now Fast Times at Richmond High. Back to Gabe.
I can't believe you left Face Off.
I did leave Face Off.
I'm going to go off the board with my last pick. I actually got 3 of the 4 I wanted.
Okay.
My plan was to go Raising Arizona, Adaptation, Raising Arizona, Unbearable Weight, Adaptation, and then final round. Oh, National Treasure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just for Mary. Love you. She's now a loyal listener of the show. But I'm going off the board, and I'm going to go with Matchstick Men from 2003.
Okay, good pick.
So Nick Cage plays. This one has like a soft. I have a soft spot for this one. Nick Cage plays a con artist, of which I am as a politician.
Yeah.
Right. But he's a little neurodivergent.
Okay.
He's got some OCD. A little different thing going. And then his teenage daughter that he doesn't even know about shows up to live with him.
Okay.
And then he teaches her the family business, and they, run cons. But when this came out, it was early 2000s, mid 2000s, and at that time in my life, I was a single dad. It was just me and my daughter.
Yep.
So just watching Nick Cage with his daughter go run some cons,
teaching her the ropes.
Movie. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I got a soft spot for it.
I like it. And a very, very good movie. We were looking up some of the scores on this on IMDb for the various different films, and very highly regarded film. So, and Nick Cage movies run the full gamut, right? From just ridiculous to like really, really good sad movies, City of Angels. Yeah. And then, Matchstick Men is just right there. I would say a little on the sappy side, but right in Nick Cage's wheelhouse. So. Scott, you got your last pick here. You are
Face Off.
You get looking.
the correct choice.
The only choice.
The last pick in the draft could have been the first. And the first
Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk about Face Off.
It's been such a long time since I've seen this movie, dude. All I know is that John Travolta plays Nick Cage playing John Travolta playing Nick Cage. And it's weird.
Oh, my God.
If you are going to compare the two actors, and no offense, John Travolta, love you. Not really, but I'll say it. Nick Cage plays John Travolta a whole hell of a lot better than John Travolta can play Nick Cage.
Yeah.
John Travolta plays Nick Cage like any of us would play Nick Cage.
Yes.
Just turned up to 15.
Yeah.
And Nick Cage plays Nick Cage playing John Travolta. So it works.
Does it? Does it work? Because I rented this one as well.
You wouldn't commit to buy. You saved the $10.
The movies that I watched, this movie holds up the least. What we forget is that it is John Woo. And within 30 seconds, I was like, oh, shit, this is John Woo. And it is so John Woo. There is a scene at the beginning of this movie where Nick Cage has established that he's a psychopath and yada, yada, yada. And John Travolta is chasing after him. And they get in a chase scene, and Nick Cage is on a jet that is on a runway that is going to take off. And here comes John Travolta in an SUV chasing after him, and they're shooting at each other. Nick Cage shoots a girl. She falls out of the plane. John Travolta pulls over in his SUV, gets out of the SUV, gets into a helicopter, flies up on the helicopter, knocks off half the wing of the airplane so it can't take off, goes in front of the airplane, is shooting at the engine and blows up the engine.
Smart play.
Yeah.
I would do the same thing.
The plane then also they have no idea of how planes work, because in airplanes you typically steer with your feet when you're on the ground, and the actual like the yoke is for flying. And I don't know if that's the case with all airplanes, but I flew one airplane one time and that's what it was. So I'm assuming all airplanes are this way. But Nick Cage just turns the wheel and crashes it into a hangar and then jumps out sideways, both guns blazing, while fireworks are going off in this hangar. And not even remotely hidden fireworks. You see wires 4 times in the first 2 minutes of this movie where there are actual wires. It was like, could you not at least take the time?
They set the scene.
Could you not at least take the time to digitally remove the wire?
Look, if they couldn't do it for the moon landing, they can't do it for Face Off.
It is ridiculous. It's fun, but it is more John Travolta than it is Nick Cage. And
they were both kind of peaking at that time, and it was a John Travolta.
Yeah,
movie.
and so this is John Travolta had just done Broken Arrow with John Woo as well. I believe it's John Woo. And then I remember that movie fondly. I think I remember it fondly, but now that I remember that it's John Woo, I'm pretty sure it probably sucks as well. Face Off is a really interesting film.
It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
Interesting.
Go back to Unbearable Weight.
Yes.
When they go to into the building that is just a Nick Cage shrine of all of his. They have the wax figure of Castor Troy with the 2 guns. And Nick Cage is like, that's an abomination. How much did you pay to have it made? Javier says, $6,000. Says, I will pay you $20,000.
That makes the movie almost okay. It's okay. Yeah. It is peak John Travolta nuttiness.
Yeah.
And subdued after the beginning, subdued Nick Cage. But the very, very beginning is just off the rails. Nick Cage is being 1,000% Nick Cage. I would say this is almost Nick Cage at his Nick Cageiest, except for Snake Eyes is probably
Snake Eyes at 8mm.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah. Follow this, and those are over the top. But there's a little bit of weirdness with some young girls in the film where you're just like, okay, calm down. You know, John Travolta's daughter is clearly not 18. Maybe we should calm down on that part a little bit. The one part that really stuck out to me, though, there's a scene where John Travolta's daughter's in a vehicle with her boyfriend, and he's getting a little handsy. And then I would say he gets a little rapey.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you know who the actor is? Danny Matterson.
Oh,
natural fit for the role. Natural fit.
I laughed so fucking hard when I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, man, that's method acting.
Let's hire the rapist to rape somebody.
And probably in his peak rapiness. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just full on Danny Matterson trying
full
not
on
funny.
rapist?
Not funny.
Yeah. Not funny, but
hilarious.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And John Wooey in yeah. So Scott, give me your take on Face Off, having not seen it in 20 years.
Solid B+.
That's high praise.
It's fun.
I have to know whose idea it was to give, because Nick Cage, I think it's Nick Cage's character has the way that he can prove to his wife that it's him with the weird little hand to face thing that he does.
Oh.
You remember that?
Yeah,
yes.
I do. I just
now
watched
I do.
it.
Yeah. Like, oh, that is you, Dad.
Yeah. It's like you rubbed my face with the palm of your hand.
It's like the movie Hook where the kid goes, "Oh, there you are, Peter." It's ridiculous.
No, it's me. It's me. Remember? I do this fucking stupid thing to you all the time.
Yeah. It feels like, I mean, John Woo was the hot thing at this point because he goes on to do Mission Impossible 2, which is awful. It's so hard to watch.
I won't watch that one.
Yeah, it's so hard to watch, and it all feels very much the same. Like where it's just like things are there, and you're like, well, that's kind of a cool idea, but then it's just slightly lost in translation a little bit. Yeah. You know, a lot of two people pointing a gun at each other and then quick moving and both pointing the gun at each other again. Yeah, it
takes 13 milliseconds.
Oh my God. There's some great one-liners. And Castor Troy is a phenomenal name.
Yeah.
It's a great name. In the scope of names, you're pretty high on the list. And I would argue that Nick Cage has some of the best character names of any actor in his roles. So
that's how he picks the movies. He doesn't read the script. He sees the name, like, oh yeah, Castor Troy, I'll do that.
I would like to know if he ever had one changed. Like, did he ever just pull up and say, you know what, I like what you've got here. However, can we Castor Troy this one? Can we Benjamin Franklin Gates this one?
Oh yeah, great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the list. Not being selected, Leaving Las Vegas, which is the one that he won an Oscar for.
Poop again.
We're awesome. We know our shit.
I just watched half of it, and my God, 1995, calm the fuck down. And maybe it's 93. I don't know.
It's 95.
Is it 95?
Yeah.
It's so depressing, and not in a fun way. This guy is drinking himself to death, and you're along for the ride. It's not Meg Ryan depressing. It's alcoholic Nick Cage depressing. All right, so our selections, Scott, you went with the first overall pick of Adaptation. Excellent movie. And then went with Gone in 60 Seconds, the 60th best Nick Cage movie.
According to Rotten Tomatoes.
According to Rotten Tomatoes. City of Angels, which I can't give you enough praise on. Holds up. Just watched it. Holds up. A little 90s-ish, but very good. And then Face Off, which is...
I think this might be my weakest draft yet.
I'm not going to lie. I would have said Face Off was top 3, between my
if you hadn't watched it.
If I hadn't watched it. I remember really, really, really liking that movie when I was, what were we, 12
Same.
or 15?
15-ish,
I was like, this is badass. And then I'm like, runways, planes take 30 seconds to fucking take off. This is, what am I watching? What is that? And that's the beginning. Then we're taking people's faces off.
Which was high tech at the time. Like, whoa, they're transferring the face.
Totally, they say it is completely reversible. So don't worry. It's completely reversible. Nothing can go wrong here. We're just removing your face.
But that was number 6 on my list.
Okay.
Because I didn't rewatch it either. And I also remember it being, it was my top of his mid-90s action movies.
Sure.
Face Off.
Sure. And people will argue that they do still like that movie. I just can't do John Woo anymore. It's so ridiculous. And it is meant to be over the top, but like Con Air is over the top, right? There's scenes of him in a wife beater running from fire and jumping through windows.
Is John Woo the one with the doves?
Yes, and
and
there are doves.
Okay.
I was waiting. I waited through. It was probably almost the end of this movie where I'm like, where are those fucking doves? And sure as shit, here, and it's always someone walking through doves. So here he comes, and I don't even remember which. I don't know if it was Nick Cage playing freaking John Travolta or John Travolta playing Nick Cage, or if they had put their faces back on by that point. I don't fucking know. My selections, and I'm very pleased with this. The Rock, which was my number 1 overall because I just love
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery. And my second pick, Con Air. The thing that makes The Rock better than Con Air is that in The Rock, Nicolas Cage plays the guy that's the cop coming in to kind of save the day. And in Con Air, that role is played by, what the hell is his name now? I'm drawing a complete blank. $2. Cusack.
Whoa.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So in Con Air, you've got Nick Cage in a wife beater, and then you've got Cusack. And in The Rock, you've got Sean Connery and Nick Cage. So that puts it just above just a little bit. But then finishing off my draft with KickAss, and then Fast Times just as a tip of the cap to the start of the man's career and to his lineage as well, with being Nicholas Coppola. So not too bad. Not too bad. Oh, yeah, Gabe. I forgot about Gabe.
Yeah, I picked the 4 best ones.
That's right. Gabe Johnson went with The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Which everybody must watch now. It's streaming on Stars.
It's very good.
Yeah, go watch it.
It's a lot of fun.
That is the best way to say that. Best thing you can say about that movie is just a ton of fun. Also, Raising Arizona, fantastic pick. National Treasure, which I will say, fuck you to your wife. That's a great pick, which I would love to have had in my list.
That's my wife's favorite Nick Cage movie.
I know, but she stole it because you were right. You were right to select it because I knew
you had both watched it, so I knew it was going sometime, so I had to get it.
I wanted some National Treasure because I think it's a great, again, Jerry Bruckheimer. Yeah. I think it's a great little pick. And then Matchstick Men to wrap things up, also an excellent selection.
4 of my top 5 I got, so I'm feeling good.
I was just happy because I thought for sure in third place I was getting Face Off, and I just couldn't do it. I could not select Face Off. So
you would have been stuck with Con Air, The Rock, and Face Off.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Nick Cage draft. We will be back next week with the Be Kind Rewind 1998, which City of Angels is 99, I think. So
98.
Is it 98?
It is 98.
All right, so we can talk more about City of Angels as well as many, many other things. 1998 is a great year. And so we'll be back with that. First episode will be just the basic notes of 1998, the forward notes.
See if there's any bombings.
Maybe a few, maybe a few explosions. And then we'll be back the following week with movies. So you got plenty of time to reach out to us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. X, as well as...
Formerly known as Twitter.
Known as Twitter, as everyone says. And YouTube. Let us know what you'd like to see from 1998. And then we'll be back in the next 2 weeks with both of those. And then right back into the news where we can talk about all things dirty and
weird.
We'll
just say weird.
It's poop again.
You'll just say weird, okay?
Thank you to the Boutros.
Yes.
Thank you to Gabe Johnson.
Thank you, Dave.
And we will be back. Until then, we're done.
So we missed leaving Las Vegas,
Yep.
which he won his Oscar in. And then we also didn't draft The Croods, which did $587 million in the box, which was his biggest movie ever.
Yeah, but nobody knows it's him.
I didn't actually.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie?
I didn't see neither.
You saw the
I've got
movie.
kids.
You saw the movie
Okay.
and didn't know Nick Cage was in it.
Nope.
Then don't draft it.
Well, wait a minute. Isn't that also in Unbearable where she
is.
says,
Yeah.
have you seen
It's
The
in
Croods?
Croods
And she
2.
says, I'm a 41-year-old.
She's like, I just watched Croods 2 with my nephew. He loved it. Haven't you seen it? He's like, I'm a 44-year-old man. Of course I haven't seen The Croods.
So I just real fast want to bring up, there's all this chatter right now because it's Christmas. I know you guys aren't going to see this for a while, but it's Christmas. And you get the Die Hard is or isn't a Christmas movie. We have been forever in the camp of it is a Christmas movie.
2/3 of us have.
Well, our family watched it every Christmas before we even knew that people didn't do that. Right now, I keep seeing all this stuff that says, well, if Die Hard's a Christmas movie, then also Lethal Weapon has to be a Christmas movie. And I will say yes. And here's why. We talked about this before on the podcast. I'm a big fan of the backlots in movie studios where they had all these houses where they would film. And the movie Lethal Weapon is filmed in the same backlot as the movie Christmas Vacation. Not only is it filmed on the same backlot as Christmas Vacation, the fight at the end of the movie in Lethal Weapon happens on the lawn of the next door neighbors of the house in Christmas Vacation.
Christmas movie.
Okay.
Christmas movie.